had a lot of requests about how to handle cat tracks, and for a newer rider, cat tracks often are a nightmare because you've just learned to turn, you're making those big wide traverses across the hill, slowing down, making a turn, coming back. You get to a narrow cat track and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? The secret to cat tracks are very shallow, open-ended turns where you're keeping the nose of the board pointed right down the cat track, and you're making these very shallow turns back and forth to bleed off your speed. It's going to require a little bit of a different technique. Okay, so what we're going to do, instead of making those big wide turns across the hill on a traverse, turning and coming back, on a narrow cat track you can't do that. You've got to keep the nose of the board pointed pretty much straight down the hill. You're going to want to make a series of very shallow turns, toe side, heel side, toe side. The more turns, the more speed you're going to bleed off. And that's how you're going to control your speed. The way you're going to manipulate the board is, instead of using those big turns, it's going to be a series of shallow turns. It's going to be a weight shift. As you're riding along, you're wanting to go toe side. You're going to arch your back, shove your hips forward, and it's going to bring the heels up off the ground, engaging the toe side edge. When you get to the edge of the cat track, you're going to transition, board flat, squat down a little bit, up onto your heels. And it's back and forth like that. So it's going to be a maneuver that's going to look a lot like this, all the way down the cat track. And another thing you're going to notice, not every cat track, in a perfect world, a cat track would be perfectly flat. It's not a perfect world. As you see from this one, it slopes downhill. So your board's going to have a tendency to want to slide down the hill. So you're going to want to compensate and probably favor your uphill edge more, and allow a little bit of safe distance, start your turn before you get right to the edge, because you will have a tendency to slide a little bit as you engage that new edge coming back. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and put my board on. We're going to use a different cat track, a longer cat track, and I'm going to demonstrate this maneuver of just simply shifting your weight back and forth to make that edge change. Okay, in that demonstration there, I used more of a carving technique to go down a fairly mellow cat track. That's actually a green run. That technique is going to work pretty well for you even as a fairly new rider. What you are going to find, though, is you're going to get situations where the cat track is going to be substantially steeper, or maybe even icy, to where you're just not comfortable with the kind of speed that you're going to maintain doing a carved turn. So anytime your board is skidding, it's bleeding off speed. It's drag. So you can do a consistent short radius length skidded turn down a cat track like that. And the idea here is you're going to intentionally want the board skidding. There's a lot of misconception thinking that skidded turns are bad and only carved turns are good. That's not true. You got to use the right technique in the right situation. Situation like that, you want the board to skid. That's going to keep you slowed down, and I will do a fairly extreme example of it to kind of demonstrate just how slow I can keep myself going down pretty much any steep terrain by deliberately skidding that board throughout the entire turn, the top of the turn, through the middle, even turn completion in the next turn. I'm going to keep that board skidding, and the whole while it's causing a lot of drag and keeping the board slow. So with that, we're going to go on down to this cat track down there that's got a little steeper pitch. Okay, and when you're going down a cat track, as the pitch changes, you can kind of mix and match up your technique there. You can use sort of the carve technique when the terrain gets a little bit more mellow, going back to the more of a dynamic skidded turn all the way down when it's steeper. So when you're doing a cat track, you're going to have different pitches on it. So kind of throw a few things into the mix there and get the carved section for the flatter, more mellow terrain, and when it gets steeper, go to the dynamic skidded turn. And as you're riding down these cat tracks, you're obviously going to be encountering different pitches and terrain, some flatter areas, some steeper areas. What you're going to notice is that as I go down that, I'm going to be doing a basic skidded turn throughout the entire turn shape to keep my speed where I want it. Then as the terrain flattens out, I sort of transition more into the carved turn that I demonstrated earlier. This is also a good technique when the terrain gets really flat, especially cat track or even just anywhere in the flats. You're going to be using kind of a low edge angle, more of a carved approach. That way that keeps your speed up as you cross those flat areas. And as long as you stay solidly on an edge, you have very little chance of ever having that dreaded edge catch from having a flat board and pivot. And with that, as soon as these guys get a little bit further behind me, I'll go ahead and demonstrate more of that skidded turn.